Did you know that in California, a new 2026 law could actually fine you for helping your elderly neighbor carry groceries across the street? Sounds unbelievable, right? But it's real, and just one of several shocking legal changes that could quietly impact your daily life, especially if you're over 60. This isn't fear-mongering, it's what's already passed, and most people haven't even heard about them yet. From surprise driving tests that could take away your license to silent policy changes that might raise your healthcare bills without warning, these new laws are flying under the radar, and while some are meant to help, others come with hidden consequences that could affect your freedom, your finances, or even your family. Many seniors are completely unaware, and by the time they find out, it could be too late. So before these rules catch you off guard, let's walk through 10 shocking California laws that every senior absolutely must know in 2026. Trust us, you'll want to hear number 7. Number 1. The grocery bag ban expansion. In 2026, California expanded its already strict plastic bag ban, and this time it hits home delivery services, including those that seniors rely on most. That's right, if you're using programs like Instacart, Meals on Wheels, or even grocery drop-offs from local stores, you may now be charged extra for reusable bags with every delivery. It sounds small, but for seniors on fixed incomes, these extra fees can add up fast. What used to be a simple convenience, getting your groceries delivered, could now cost you up to $1.50 per bag, per delivery. And the worst part? Many seniors don't even know they're being charged until the fees pile up on their statements. According to the California Department of Resources, Recycling and Recovery, this new law aims to reduce waste, but it doesn't exempt anyone based on age or income. So what can you do? Here's a tip. Keep a stash of reusable bags by your front door, walker, or mobility scooter. If someone shops for you, whether it's a family member, neighbor, or service, hand them your own bags. Some delivery platforms now even allow you to opt out of receiving bags completely. It's a small change that could save you dozens of dollars a year, and a big surprise when you're already watching every penny. Number 2. The new Elder Driver Reevaluation Rule. Starting in 2026, California seniors aged 75 and older will be required to take a mandatory driving reevaluation test every 2 years. This new law, quietly passed under public safety reforms, is already stirring controversy. Why? Because it doesn't just apply to seniors with prior driving issues. It affects everyone over a certain age, regardless of driving record, experience, or health. The law was introduced as a response to rising accident rates involving older drivers. According to the California Highway Patrol, drivers aged 75 plus were involved in 22% more traffic incidents in the last 5 years, despite making up a smaller portion of licensed drivers. But critics say this law unfairly targets older adults, placing added stress and anxiety on those who depend on their independence to shop, attend medical appointments, or visit loved ones. What makes this even more concerning is the lack of clarity around the reevaluation process. Seniors may face vision tests, reaction time assessments, and even road tests, depending on how they perform during their renewal process. And in some cases, failing one part could lead to a temporary or permanent suspension of driving privileges, sometimes without warning. So, how can you stay prepared? The best defense is being proactive. Sign up for a certified senior driving course. Many are available online or at your local DMV. These not only refresh your skills, but also often come with insurance discounts. Make sure to have your vision checked annually and keep documentation of any mobility or health conditions that may affect your driving, especially if you use adaptive devices. Remember, losing the ability to drive can feel like losing your freedom, but preparing now can help you stay safely on the road on your terms. Number 3. Telehealth copay changes that could hurt your wallet. Telehealth has been a lifeline for seniors, especially during the pandemic and beyond. It allowed thousands to speak with their doctors from the comfort and safety of their homes. But in 2026, California quietly removed a major protection, the cap on telehealth copays for Medi-Cal recipients. What does this mean? If you're a senior relying on virtual appointments, you might now be paying more than ever, and most don't realize it until the bills start rolling in. Previously, Medi-Cal had strict rules limiting how much providers could charge for virtual visits, making telehealth a cost-effective alternative to in-person care. But with this new change, doctors and clinics now have the freedom to set higher copays for remote consultations. In some cases, the cost of a video call might now exceed that of an in-person visit. This has created confusion, and unfortunately, many seniors are unknowingly overpaying. Healthcare analysts say this move was meant to encourage people to return to in-person care and reduce overuse of virtual services. But for seniors with limited mobility, transportation issues, or those living in rural areas, this shift could be financially punishing. And because billing often happens after the appointment, you may not know how much you owe until weeks later. So what can you do to protect yourself? First, call your healthcare provider before your next appointment and ask specifically about the copay for telehealth versus in-person. If in-person is cheaper and manageable, consider making the switch. Also, ask if they offer sliding scale fees or patient assistance programs. Some clinics offer discounted or even free virtual services to seniors who qualify. Telehealth is still a valuable tool, but in 2026, you'll need to pay closer attention than ever to make sure it's not quietly draining your budget. Number 4. The new caregiver licensing requirement. Even family members aren't exempt. In a move that's left many families stunned, California's 2026 Care Support Reform Act now requires all non-medical caregivers, even unpaid family members, to complete state-approved training and certification if they provide more than 10 hours of care per week. That's right. If you're helping your aging parent, spouse, or relative with tasks like bathing, feeding, medication reminders, or mobility support, you may now be considered an unlicensed caregiver under state law, and that could come with legal and financial consequences. The goal behind the law is to ensure consistent care standards and reduce elder abuse and neglect. But for many everyday families just trying to do the right thing, it feels like a bureaucratic nightmare. Failing to comply could result in fines ranging from $200 to $1,000, and in some counties, even the suspension of in-home support services. What's worse, many seniors and their loved ones don't even know about this change. There's been very little public outreach, and some caregivers are already being flagged during hospital discharges or home health check-ins without warning. The law defines caregiving broadly, so if you regularly help with personal hygiene, transfers, or even medication reminders, you could already be in violation. But don't panic. There's a smart, simple way to stay protected. California now offers free or low-cost online caregiver training courses, many of which can be completed in just a few evenings. Once completed, you receive a caregiver ID number that proves you're certified and compliant. Local senior centers and area agencies on aging also offer support to guide families through the process. If you're caring for someone you love, this law shouldn't stop you, but it should remind you to get prepared. Protect yourself legally and make sure your loved one continues getting the help they need without unexpected penalties. Number 5. New noise curfew in senior communities. Is your living room too loud? It might sound like something out of a movie, but as of 2026, California has passed a statewide noise regulation expansion, targeting age-restricted 55-plus communities, and the changes are catching many seniors off guard. Under this new law, quiet hours are now legally enforced between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., and violations could lead to citations, fines, or even eviction warnings for repeat offenses. What's considered a violation? That's the tricky part. It includes anything from playing music too loud, to hosting family get-togethers, to even having your TV volume up too high if it can be heard from outside your unit. Lawmakers argue this is to protect vulnerable seniors from sleep disruption and anxiety, but residents across the state are calling it overreaching, especially since many seniors enjoy having grandchildren visit or watching late-night television as part of their routine. Enforcement will vary by county, but in many senior housing communities and mobile home parks, HOAs and management companies are now required to report excessive noise complaints. That means a single call from a neighbor could result in a warning letter, or worse, a visit from code enforcement. This has created tension among residents and has some feeling like they're walking on eggshells in their own homes. So how can you avoid getting caught off guard? First, ask your HOA or building manager for a written copy of the updated noise policy. Second, consider using TV headphones or low-volume speaker systems during quiet hours. And if you plan to host family, give your neighbors a heads up and wrap things up before 8 p.m. to stay safe. You've worked hard your whole life. You shouldn't have to feel like a teenager breaking curfew in your own home. But now, staying informed is the best way to stay out of trouble. If you found even one of these laws surprising, drop a comment and let us know. Your story could help someone else avoid trouble. We put a ton of work into these videos to keep you informed, so please hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.
Number 6. The Estate Transparency Act. Your assets could be frozen if you miss this step. If you think your will or trust is enough to protect your family when you're gone, think again. As of 2026, California has enacted the Estate Transparency Act, a groundbreaking law that requires residents with estates valued over $100,000 to pre-declare key financial and property information in a digital state registry before death. If this step is skipped, your estate could be temporarily frozen, delaying inheritance and causing costly legal battles for your loved ones. This law was created to combat fraud and protect heirs from unexpected probate issues, but for many seniors, it's just another layer of confusing red tape. Most people don't know they fall into the threshold because it includes your home's value, retirement accounts, savings, and even life insurance payouts. In California's housing market, that $100,000 cap can be reached faster than you think. The real issue? If your estate isn't registered properly before death, banks and financial institutions may refuse to release funds, even if you have a valid will. Probate courts could then get involved, adding months or even years to the inheritance process. And during that time, your family may have to deal with unpaid bills, property taxes, or funeral costs with no access to your assets. So what can you do to stay compliant and protect your legacy? Visit the official California Estate Registry portal, where you can file your declaration online. You'll need basic documents like your property deed, bank account statements, and insurance policies. If that sounds overwhelming, many legal aid organizations and estate planning clinics are now offering free workshops for seniors to guide you through the process. You've worked your entire life to build what you have. Don't let a missed form keep your family from receiving what's rightfully theirs.
Number 7. Medication Expiration Tracking Law, the prescription rule that could deny you refills. In 2026, California rolled out a new law requiring all prescriptions for seniors to be logged into a statewide digital expiration tracking system. While this law was intended to reduce medication errors and misuse, it's already causing frustration and confusion among thousands of seniors. Why? Because now, if your prescriptions aren't updated or flagged properly in the system, pharmacies may be legally required to deny your refill, even if your doctor gave you verbal approval. This law applies to anyone over age 65 and covers everything from blood pressure meds and cholesterol pills to pain relievers and sleep aids. It requires doctors to input not only your prescription details, but also an expiration date for each medication, and pharmacies are now cross-checking that expiration before filling your order. If there's a mismatch or delay in the system update, you might walk away empty-handed at the worst possible time. Imagine running out of a heart medication or insulin, only to be told you have to wait until the system is updated, possibly several days. That's already happened in multiple California counties, where seniors reported being cut off from essential meds due to minor clerical errors. Even worse, automated refill systems are no longer reliable unless your expiration info is synced perfectly. So how can you protect yourself? First, keep a written list of all your current medications, including their expiration dates. Ask your doctor during every visit to confirm that your prescriptions have been logged and updated in the state registry. Before heading to the pharmacy, call ahead to verify that your refill has been approved and check for any red flags. Number 8. Senior Scams Database Reporting Law. Miss the deadline, lose protection. Scams targeting seniors have been on the rise for years, but now, in 2026, California is fighting back with a new law that comes with a serious catch. Under the Senior Scams Database Reporting Law, any Californian over the age of 60 who experiences or even suspects a scam must report it within 30 days, or risk losing access to certain state fraud protections and reimbursements. Here's how it works. If you receive a suspicious phone call, text message, fake invoice, or phishing email and don't report it in time, you may no longer be eligible for reimbursement if that scam leads to financial loss. Even worse, banks and agencies may use the lack of a report as a reason to deny fraud claims, leaving you responsible for losses you shouldn't have to cover. This law was passed in response to growing fraud cases targeting seniors, especially online. According to the California Attorney General's office, seniors lost over $180 million to scams in 2025 alone. While the intent behind the law is to gather better data and prevent future fraud, the tight reporting deadline has left many people vulnerable, especially those who feel embarrassed, confused, or unsure about what qualifies as a scam. So, what should you do? Don't wait. Even if you only suspect something is off, file a report with the California Fraud Watch Network or your local Adult Protective Services. It takes just a few minutes online or over the phone. Keep a record of all suspicious interactions, including screenshots, emails, or phone numbers, and make it a habit to review your accounts weekly for unusual activity.
Number 9. Public Bench Time Limit Ordinance. Rest too long, get fined? Here's a law that has many seniors shaking their heads. As of 2026, California has introduced a new public bench time limit ordinance in several major cities and counties. This regulation sets a 30-minute time limit for sitting on public benches in certain zones, particularly in parks, bus stops, and downtown areas. While it was designed to address overcrowding and discourage loitering, it's had an unintended consequence, targeting seniors who rely on these benches for rest and mobility support. For many older adults, especially those with limited stamina, joint pain, or balance issues, taking short breaks while walking outdoors is not a luxury, it's a necessity. But under this new ordinance, if a law enforcement officer or city official sees you sitting for more than 30 minutes without a valid reason, you could be asked to move or even fined up to $250 for repeated violations. The law does mention medical exemptions, but here's the catch. You must have documentation on hand. That means if you have arthritis, a heart condition, or another mobility-related issue, you may need to carry a doctor's note or disability card to avoid being penalized. Seniors who aren't aware of this are often caught off guard, especially in public areas where seating is limited and no clear signage is posted. So what's the smart move? First, check with your local city or county website to see if this ordinance is being enforced in your area. If you have a condition that requires frequent rest, ask your doctor to provide a written mobility exemption you can carry in your wallet or purse. You can also apply for a state-issued disability placard or ID, which often qualifies as proof under the ordinance.
Number 10. Cooling Assistance Law for Seniors. Relief is here, but you must act fast. Here's some good news to end on. In 2026, California passed the Cooling Assistance Law for Seniors, a life-saving regulation that provides free or heavily discounted air conditioning units and utility bill relief to seniors during extreme heat events. With record-breaking heat waves becoming more common each summer, this law could literally mean the difference between comfort and a medical emergency, but only if you know how to access it in time. This law applies to Californians aged 65 and over, especially those on fixed incomes, living alone, or in older housing without central air. Eligible seniors can now receive portable AC units, fans, or emergency cooling vouchers, and many qualify for monthly utility bill credits during designated heat emergency months. However, the key detail here is that you must apply before the summer begins, otherwise you may be placed on a waiting list or miss out entirely. According to the California Department of Aging, over 40% of heat-related deaths in 2025 were among seniors, many of whom didn't have access to safe cooling. This new law is part of the state's larger climate adaptation effort, but the rollout hasn't been widely publicized. Many seniors who qualify still aren't aware these benefits exist, and some assume they earn too much to be eligible when that's not the case. So here's what you need to do. Visit the California Cooling Relief Portal or call your local area agency on aging. Have your ID, utility bill, and proof of income ready. They'll walk you through a quick application process, and in many cases, equipment is delivered right to your door. California's new 2026 laws are a wake-up call for every senior and their loved ones. From unexpected copays to mandatory caregiver training, stricter driving rules, and even bench time limits, these changes aren't just political headlines. They're real laws that can impact your daily life, freedom, and finances in ways you might never expect. Some of these laws were designed to protect seniors, others not so much. But whether they're helpful or harmful, one thing is clear: staying informed is no longer optional. Knowing your rights, preparing early, and taking small proactive steps like checking your prescriptions, updating estate plans, or applying for cooling assistance can save you from major headaches down the line. Because in today's world, what you don't know can hurt you. So, before you go, do us and yourself a favor. Like this video if you learned something new. Subscribe to our channel for weekly updates on senior laws, health tips, and benefits you might be missing. And comment below, which of these 10 laws shocked you the most, or have you already been affected by one of them? Also, don't forget to check out our next video, 5 government benefits most seniors forget to claim. Are you missing out? It's packed with money-saving tips and resources you don't want to overlook. And finally, remember, while we strive to provide the most accurate and up-to-date information, this video is not legal advice. Always consult with a qualified professional about your personal situation. Stay informed, stay protected, and we'll see you in the next one.